That's the way to do it.
Good evening, my friends. How are you? Awesome. Nice to see you. This is the most beautiful place I've ever seen. I'm not kidding, man. I work these all over the country. This place is all that and a bag of chips. Nice to see you. I have some great news. I am celebrating all year long this year. I made it to the Senior Citizens Club. But when I turned 62 years old, I stopped caring about everything. I used to freak out about everything. What do people think of me? Do my socks match? Do my pants match my shirt? Did I dress right? Are they looking at me from everything? I couldn't do anything. Now that I'm a senior citizen, I just don't care. I got dressed this morning, one blue sock, one red sock, no underwear, no problem. I'm good to go. There are certain limitations that go along with being a senior citizen. One of my favorite booking agents, she books all my cruises, called me the other day and said, I'm going to put together a senior cruise. And I want you to headline it, but I need you to do a little extra time this time. Can you do an hour and a half? I said, yes, ma'am, I can do an hour and a half, but my bladder can only do an hour. And look at this, for example, tonight. I get to wear hats now. I come from an era where hats are cool. Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. used to wear hats and they looked cool in them. I've always wanted to wear hats, but when I was younger, I couldn't because I was afraid people would make fun of me. And now that I do it with confidence, people like it. Isn't that amazing? I'm coming out of a theater the other day. There's a group of young people talking. The prettiest mid-20s girl points me out and says, look, isn't he cute? Grandpa's got a hat on. And you know how ugly single men are to senior citizens. One of the guys in the group had to be smart. He said, yeah, Geezer thinks he's Frank Sinatra. Well, he got paid back, my friends, because every single person in that group looked at him like a tree full of owls and said, Frank Sinatra? Who's Frank Sinatra? I started doing comedy in the early 90s. Now, when I work a cruise ship, they laugh long enough for me to get a drink of water without being awkward like it is right now. Dead silence. You guys are like slave drivers. I'll deliver a joke and you're like, okay. Deliver another one, okay, move on. Have you seen our calendar? They're working us to death around here. This is not retirement. Right now in the activity room, there's popsicle sticks that need to be glued together or the world's going to come apart. Been doing comedy since the early 90s, and as she told you, I used to be an activities director for an active senior community in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Now the reason I'm telling you that is because now you know two famous comedians from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Me and Bill Clinton. That's pretty funny. You know, I still believe in a place called Hope. I hope my wife shuts up soon. You know, if you lose an election to a man who has orange hair, shut up, Hillary. We were 5-1 before you kicked that election. Oh, girl. Oh. A senior came up to me after a show the other night and said, I don't think you're old enough to do a show for senior citizens. I said, well, ma'am, I accidentally went on stage the other night with mustard on my tie and my pants unzipped. Does that qualify? She didn't argue. I had this one activities director from Huntsville, Alabama. She had such a heavy southern accent that you couldn't tell whether she was making a statement or asking a question. She sees me come in and yells over a large lobby full of seniors, oh, there you are. You must be my comedian because you darn sure look funny. Well, that's my goal every day, ma'am. I look in the mirror and say, oh, wow, you look funny. I'm done. Now, your activities director, she loves you people. She watches over you. Believe me, when I got here, she went over my act like the Russian KGB. She said, don't do anything religious, because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And please don't do any political material, because they'll argue all the way through dinner. And frankly, I don't want to hear it. But most importantly, whatever you do, please don't say anything about... Pardon me? Please don't mention anything about... one more time. Don't say anything about sex. Okay, you don't have to holler. So you don't want me to do any material about religion or politics or sex. No problem, really. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and good night. You don't have to worry. I'm not going to talk about something I don't know anything about anymore. I've been married 25 years. And you know what? The reason I don't know anything, it's your fault. Think back. Do you remember when we used to ask questions and y'all would say, good children are seen and not heard. The women in my family, if I asked a question like that, they'd be like, your father will talk to you about that at the appropriate time. He'll tell you all about the birds and the bees. Yeah, it didn't happen until I was 16 years old. And by then, we're already doing a little research on our own, aren't we, sir? Yeah, I came home with hickeys one day, and the worst possible thing happened that you can ever imagine as a high school student. To walk outside the school with your friends, and there's my dad in his 1962 four-door, green, rusted out Cadillac Sedan DeVille. Then the old door opens. Get in the car, boy. I got something I want to talk to you about. Well, finally, I get out a pencil and a piece of paper. I'm ready for days and weeks and months of the birds and bees. I want to know everything. Nah, it didn't turn out that way. All the way home, not a word. Up in the yard, we can't afford a driveway. Up in the yard, motor off, windows up, we're just sitting there. It's September in southern Louisiana, my friends. It's 100 and 100 outside. It's 100 degrees and 100% humidity. You do not need a glass to get a drink of water in southern Louisiana. Just open your mouth. It's so hot the dogs are hiding underneath the porch. One of them finally pops out and she takes off running across the yard. Little terrier about this big, her name's Tiger. My father's face lights up and he goes, hey boy, you know how tigers always having all them puppies, don't you? Yeah. Well, you smarter than a dog, ain't you? Yeah. That was it. Now there is something you can build a foundation for a life on. The fact that I'm smarter than the yard dog. My wife and I chose a different approach. We decided we're going to tell them everything. Because a school teacher's not going to walk into a room full of 8-year-olds one morning and go, okay, class, put your books away. We're going to talk about real life today. Love and marriage. And a voice from the back of the room, and where babies come from? And that'll be the end of that conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly honored and touched that I can be here with you today. I love these shows. Frankly, my wife is going through menopause. I'm glad to be anywhere but home. Don't get me wrong. I love my wife from a good, safe distance. Kansas City to Dallas is a good, safe distance. See, you fellas don't know this, but menopause is man's penalty for not giving birth. My wife was talking to a girl in church the other day. You know how young people are when they first get married? They're so in love. And she's talking about her husband. She says, oh my goodness, when my husband landscapes the yard, the bushes sing. When he paints the house, people stop and watch. He can grill a chicken. He can fix a car. Why, my husband is a saint. My wife laughed right in her face and said, you're lucky, mine's still alive. My wife is a jazz musician. She plays a trumpet. She's quite a horn player too, but her menopausal fits have become violent. She hit me in the head with a horn the other day. And believe me, my friends, hell hath no fury like a woman's horn. My favorite jokes. I wrote that joke.